Have you ever found yourself dreading going to work because of a toxic colleague? This is a common challenge that many of us face in the workplace. A toxic colleague is not just someone who has a bad day or a momentary lapse in judgment. No, a toxic colleague is a persistent source of negativity, whose actions and attitudes can poison the work environment. They might be overly critical, gossipy, manipulative, or just plain difficult to work with. This toxicity can drain your energy, undermine your confidence, and disrupt your focus. It can even spill over into your personal life, causing stress and anxiety that linger long after the workday ends. This, in turn, can impact your overall well-being, relationships, and even your career growth. As overwhelming as it may seem, there are ways to deal with a toxic colleague effectively. Consider the story of Jane, a software engineer who had a toxic colleague named Mark. Now, Mark was a talented coder, but his behavior towards others left a lot to be desired. His constant negativity, belittling comments, and refusal to acknowledge the work of others created a toxic environment that was hard to navigate. Jane, being a diligent worker and a team player, tried her best to maintain a professional relationship with Mark, but his constant negativity started to take a toll on her. She began to dread going to work, her productivity dipped, and she found herself constantly stressed, even when she was away from the office. It was clear that Mark's toxicity was not just a workplace issue. It was affecting Jane's mental health and overall well-being. Jane started to feel demotivated, finding it hard to keep her focus on her work. She could see the passion she once had for her job dwindling, replaced by a sense of dread and unease. The situation was affecting not only her performance, but also her self-esteem. She started doubting her skills and abilities, questioning whether she was good enough to be in her position. Jane's story is not an isolated one. Many of us have faced or are currently facing similar situations where a toxic colleague is making our work life unbearable. It's a tough spot to be in, feeling trapped and helpless, seeing no way out. But Jane, like many others, found herself at a crossroads. She could either let the situation continue to affect her negatively, or she could take action. But Jane didn't let this situation control her life. She decided to take a stand. She realized that she couldn't change Mark's behavior, but she could change how she reacted to it. She decided not to let Mark's negativity affect her anymore. This was not an easy decision, nor was it a quick fix, but it was the first step towards reclaiming her work life and her peace of mind. Jane's story of triumph over toxicity is a testament to the power of resilience and self-belief. Jane knew she needed to address the situation, so she came up with a plan. Jane had been dealing with Mark's toxic behavior for a while now, and she realized it was time for a change. She didn't want to let Mark's negativity continue to affect her, so she decided to take action. The first step in Jane's strategy was to express her feelings. She understood that communication was key to resolving any conflict, so she decided to have a conversation with Mark. She planned to be honest, yet respectful, explaining how his behavior was affecting her and the overall work environment. Jane knew that bottling up her feelings would only lead to more resentment and stress, so she chose to face the situation head-on. The next part of Jane's strategy was setting boundaries. Jane realized that she had been allowing Mark to overstep her boundaries, leading to her feeling disrespected and undervalued. She decided to make it clear to Mark what behavior she would and wouldn't accept. She would not allow Mark's negativity to invade her space anymore. This meant not engaging in any unnecessary conversations with Mark and not letting his negative comments affect her. It was a way for Jane to regain control over her work environment. Finally, Jane knew that she might need to involve human resources if the situation didn't improve. If Mark continued to act in a toxic manner even after their conversation, Jane was prepared to report his behavior to HR. She understood that sometimes intervention from a higher authority was necessary to resolve issues. Jane was determined not to let Mark's toxicity affect her any longer than it already had. Jane's actions didn't change Mark overnight, but they did change the dynamic between them. Jane's strategy was not about changing Mark, but about changing how she dealt with him. It wasn't an easy process, but Jane was committed to creating a healthier work environment for herself, and in doing so, she set an example for others who might be facing similar situations. Over time, Jane's work environment began to improve. The seeds of change she had planted were finally starting to sprout. It wasn't a sudden shift, but a gradual progression that became more evident with each passing day. Jane's strategy was multifaceted. She didn't just address the issue head-on with Mark, the toxic colleague. Instead, she also focused on fostering a positive environment that would discourage toxicity. The ripple effect of her actions was far-reaching. impacting not just her interactions with Mark, but the overall atmosphere in the workplace. As she consistently demonstrated respect and empathy, Mark began to respond in kind. It was as though a mirror had been held up to him, reflecting the stark contrast between his behavior and Jane's. It made him realize the need to adjust his attitude and approach. Jane also made a conscious effort to strengthen her relationships with other colleagues. This created a supportive network around her, serving as a buffer against toxicity. It also sent out a clear message that disrespectful behavior was not the norm, but an exception. The management too played their part. Jane's decision to involve them in the situation led to the implementation of stricter policies against workplace toxicity. This further reinforced the culture of respect and professionalism that Jane had been striving for. The transformation was not overnight. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when Jane questioned if her efforts were even making a dent. But she kept going, driven by her belief in a better work environment. And eventually, her perseverance paid off. Jane's interactions with Mark became more respectful. The overall work atmosphere improved. People were happier, more productive, and more supportive of each other. It was a testament to the power of positive action, even in the face of adversity. Jane's story shows us that dealing with a toxic colleague is challenging, but not impossible. It serves as a reminder that change is within our reach, if we have the courage to pursue it. It's about standing up for respect, empathy, and positivity, even when it's easier to succumb to negativity. After all, as Jane's story illustrates, the outcome can be well worth the effort. So, what can we learn from Jane's experience? Jane's journey has given us several valuable insights into navigating the stormy seas of workplace toxicity. Let's take a moment to recap the key points we've discussed in this video. First and foremost, the importance of open communication cannot be overstated. Jane's story teaches us that silence often amplifies toxicity, allowing it to fester and grow. By respectfully voicing her concerns, Jane took the first step towards resolving the issue. It wasn't an easy step, but it was a crucial one. So, if you find yourself in a similar situation, remember to speak up. Your voice matters. Next, setting boundaries emerged as a vital tool in Jane's strategy. She realized that she had the right to determine how she was treated at work. By setting clear boundaries, Jane let her toxic colleague know what was acceptable behavior and what wasn't. This proactive approach not only helped in managing the immediate issue, but also in preventing future incidents of toxicity. It's a powerful reminder that boundaries are not walls, but guidelines that foster mutual respect and understanding. Lastly, Jane's experience highlights the necessity of seeking help when dealing with a toxic colleague. It's not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your strength and commitment to a healthy work environment. Jane reached out to her supervisor and human resources, and they provided the support she needed. So, don't hesitate to seek assistance. There are people and resources available to help. In summary, dealing with a toxic colleague is challenging, but not impossible. Jane's story is a testament to the power of open communication, setting boundaries, and seeking help. It's a reminder that you have the right to a safe and respectful workplace. So, be like Jane. Speak up, set boundaries, and don't be afraid to seek help. Remember, it's your right to have a healthy and respectful work environment. Dealing with a toxic colleague can be a daunting task. It's a challenge that can drain you emotionally and mentally. However, remember that you are not defined by this situation. You have the power to take control, to stand up for your well-being, and to foster a healthier work environment. If you're currently navigating this tough terrain, it's crucial to remember you're not alone. Many have walked this path before and emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Every workplace has its fair share of challenges. But how we choose to respond to these challenges shapes our personal growth and professional. There are resources available to assist you. You can seek advice from trusted mentors, engage in professional development webinars, or consult with human resources. Key is to understand that action is necessary. You owe it to yourself to operate in a healthy, positive space. Remember, you have the power to change your work environment. Don't let toxicity steal joy or your productivity. And remember, if you want to continue receiving inspiration and motivation to overcome challenges in your professional life, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.